I don't know what it did. We're good though. And you can't. I don't think you'll be able to notice.
No, you look fine. 3, 2, 1. Bet on Bears fans, another edition of the Chicago Bears podcast coming your way. Panther designer Jason McKie here on a Bears-Packers Friday. And oh, do we have a special guest on today's episode to help us break down Bears-Packers. Someone who I think it's pretty confirmed for sure was screaming at the top of his lungs when Jason McKie and the Chicago Bears went to the Super Bowl in 2006 and somehow changed his fandom up in the middle of this. And J-Mac, just so you know, someone who has been on my F this guy list for a while as an Illinois fan. I don't know what it was about when he saw Illinois across their chest, but he just decided, let me turn into Steph Curry. Ladies and gentlemen, host of Kyle, Brust, and Nortman on ESPN Milwaukee, ESPN Madison, ESPN Beaver Dam. You can catch him every day on the air from 2 to 5, Monday through Friday. Ben Brust, welcome into the show. Ben, what's going on, my guy? How you feeling, man?
Well, I would put that on Bruce Weber. He came to practices and he went for the higher ranked recruits with more upside, and I never got the offer. So really enjoyed playing Illinois.
It was
really
I like that
playing Illinois.
Yeah,
I like that. Hey, payback. That's the best type of payback, man. You get overlooked, the school that you may want to go to, Ben, and hey, you get your payback on the court. So I can appreciate that, man.
It was always something. It was he won't be able to play D3. Oh, he won't be able to play D1. Oh, he won't be able to play at Wisconsin. There's always something, and the best competitors use all of those little things to motivate themselves to be, or for my sake, get as far as I could. Because when I was with the Milwaukee Bucks in the summer league and I had to close out on Giannis Antetokounmpo, I just put the ball on the floor and I said, "All right, I'm going overseas."
All right.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with that. Pleasure to have you on the show, Ben. Appreciate you being on here with us. I think the biggest question around Chicago, and definitely for somebody who played for the team like Jason McKie, seems like you were at some point a diehard Bears fan here, and now you're all in on Go Pack Go. That just feels wrong. Why?
That is a great question. I'm so glad you started with that. The co-host of mine, Kyle Wallace, is the true Packer backer, and I make fun of him because he spent $250 to be an owner, which means absolutely nothing, maybe 10% off at the pro shop. And I don't really know what that means, like, to anyone who does it, other than putting it in their bio. The funniest thing is about all this is I'm not a Packer fan. At no point have I ever said on the airwaves, like, I'm a huge Packers fan. Now, have we done some stuff where I'm like, hey, Aaron Rodgers was the quarterback when I've been doing this, an old show, Scalzo and Brust, for a long time, where it was like, we placed a bet on them to go to the Super Bowl and, like, engage the audience and whatever. He's from Boston. So, we found our way to engage the fans. Now, for me, when I moved to Wisconsin in 2017, there still was a little bit in me, but I remember that I that sounds bad. Shop, don't adopt, whatever. I got my dog the same day of the double doink, and I missed the game. And so, like, I don't know, I had grown a disconnect from Chicago. Wisconsin became home, and nobody cares about everyone's life story. But when I got back playing overseas, I got 3 older siblings with kids and the whole parents and all of that thing. So, like, I wanted to find a spot for my career where home was. And every time I went to Madison, I was like, I know I went to college there, but this really does feel like home. So I started in Madison in 17, been in Milwaukee since 2021, bought a home, had a kid, married my wife. So Wisconsin's home, and so I've kind of disassociated myself with the Bears. And if we want to be honest, for all of my adulthood here, all I've seen is the Packers dismantle the Bears. Even when I was at college in 2010, being on the bus driving back from Illinois, where the MCL game happened, watching the Super Bowl with all my teammates, and then 2014 acting like I was something cool at a bar, wearing an orange Jay Cutler jersey, and 4th and 8 happened. So there was all these things, and I was young, I was in college, and then you grow up and you try and find out who you are. I really am only a fan truly of one team that will break and tear my heart. And I don't want to dig into this at all because they are in a bad place. It's Badger football. It's not Badger basketball. Like there's a connection there. Like from a true fandom, it's like, dude, growing up in Chicagoland, Northwestern is a great school, was recruited there, but it's not the same as like a Badger football Saturday when we were in our prime. So that's like the one team that will break and carry my heart. From a Bear standpoint, what has there been for, me to stay connected with other than being able to now laugh at my family, my brother, my 12 nieces and nephews? To me, I just don't have that connection anymore. And Sylvie actually got me pretty good. And I actually thought it was a little BS by him. I sent him a picture of us when I went to his bachelor party when I was in college, when he was going through his non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And I was like, because I have never been to Soldier Field for a Bears game. Never. And so I was like, hey, we talked about it for 5 years. He never took me to a game. He'd go with all of his big time buddies and big time me. And so as a nice note, I sent a picture and I was like, hey, we should hit the Bears game together. And he hasn't invited me since. And so that maybe was my last straw. Sylvie going through something really serious didn't put me first. I mean, what the hell, Sylvie? But yeah, from a Jason standpoint, 2007 Super Bowl, my dad actually, and maybe this is where I get it, because I do love to bet and pick sides on games. My dad had Devin Hester to take the opening kickoff to the house. And I'd never seen my dad run around the house so much in my life because I guarantee those odds. And I was so young. I was in high school. I didn't know what any of that meant. He's like, I just won whatever dollars, whatever. And so
that's crazy.
It's part of my childhood and it's part of my life. That's why I don't mind that people are digging stuff up and like bringing up old tweets. Is like, I'm not trying to hide. I'm not trying to hide from what I was. It's more so I don't have the association. Wisconsin is home. I'm not a Packers fan. I just kind of call it how I see it. And you can disagree with how I see it because a lot of people are like, well, you haven't seen the Bears the entire season, which I have Sunday ticket and I live for Sundays. I have the $4. I'm watching every game possible.
100%.
I know what they have going on. I loved watching the Lions when Ben Johnson was the offensive coordinator. I see what he's doing. The offensive line can maul. Monungai was running up the gut on the Packers. And over the last 6 weeks, the Packers run defense has been crap since they played Carolina and lost at home. So that, I know all the stuff. I truly do believe though. And we were going through this yesterday about Caleb versus Jordan, because that's the fun debate is when I see I wouldn't trade Caleb for Love or Caleb for Drake May or this or that. And then when you look at the numbers, QBR, quarterback rating, touchdowns, completion percentage, I'm not saying Caleb's a bad quarterback. I truly believe that he can have the ability to help the Packers win this game. Can he beat them? Yes. And listening to Tom Waddle on Waddle and Sylvie 2 weeks ago heading into the first game, he had said Caleb, his entire career, going back to, how he won the Heisman, has had to do this hero ball type thing. And his natural instincts are to go to running around and trying to make those plays. And where I do feel for Caleb, and it's hard to compare the growth of a Love versus Williams, he came into the dumpster fire. Now, year two, he's definitely improved, but it's one of those things where it's hard for me to put a lot of trust in him this year, and I could be dead wrong 3 years later. I don't know if I will or won't be. I think we're all going to see together, but it's just I love this. This is fun. I mean, we ran a simulation yesterday. This is it. Yeah, we ran a simulation yesterday, a Monte Carlo of 50,000 simulations if the Bears win and the Packers win this week. It's still a 50% chance that we're doing the same damn thing wild card weekend, either at Lambeau or at Soldier Field, based on the result this week. So that's awesome. There's my long form introduction. Now let's get into whatever you guys want.
Yeah. That's awesome, man.
Put it away.
Pat, you know what? I'm gonna unlace my boxing gloves a little bit, Ben, because I had my boxing gloves on.
He was ready.
I was ready. And you told the story, and I get it. Illinois. Right, they didn't kick you nowhere for so long. Goes all the way down. You talked about Sylvie doing it before we started the podcast. You talked about U of I doing it. which made you go to Madison, and then, you know what I mean, put BTA to Illinois whenever you played them on the basketball
we ain't got to
court.
bring all that up, man.
I'm just saying, Pat, he's telling the truth. I get it. I get it. You know,
he was.
See, Pat, when you're an athlete and you're overlooked, right there, you hold grudges. And when you get your opportunity, whether it's on the hardwood or the grass, you take advantage of it. So I salute you, Ben, for doing that. Yeah. So here's my thing, going back to and getting into it now. So I'm gonna put the boxing gloves back on. We talk about Jordan, we talk about Caleb, right? Like the comparison, I get the comparisons, but we really got to call a spade when you look at Jordan Love's career, having the ability to sit behind, you know, a great quarterback and really just digest the preparation, digest the way he goes about practice, digest everything that Aaron did to make him a successful quarterback. Caleb didn't have that luxury. He came into an organization, right, had dysfunction, didn't have a good setup in terms of him being successful from the coaching staff all the way down to the roster. So when I look at it, and everybody's saying, you know, 2-year guy, but when you look at it, this it's really his first year. Last year, we could say it was a redshirt year. It was terrible. We know what went on last year. So, you know, new system, new coach, new offensive playbook, new players around him, and he's having success with a competent coaching staff with a good infrastructure around him. And we're starting to see the benefits of it here in Chicago. So I think it's really hard to compare Jordan Love and Caleb. You can compare them what they're doing this year, but Jordan Love's had a better opportunity. He's had that red shirt year where he's got to sit and watch and learn. Caleb's never had an opportunity to come here and learn from anybody.
Yeah, and I hear that. And a lot, I said this yesterday, there are some things that I find similar, because when Jordan came in, when Aaron had COVID toe or COVID or whatever, and he showed his toe to the media, Packer fans were scared, as they should have been, after watching him target Davante Adams 15, 16 times against the Kansas City Chiefs. And he looked bad. And they started 3-6 in his first year as a full-time starter. But he went on that unbelievable run in 2023. The last 8 games, like ridiculous numbers. Won a playoff game in his first year starting, where they were 3-6. They weren't supposed to make the playoffs, and they found a way. Now, last year, they couldn't beat any good teams. The defense was a little bit similar to the Bears defense, a little bit better from a yards perspective, but they were definitely more of like a feast and famine on turnovers. Xavier McKinney had 7, kind of reminding you of what you see in Chicago. Very opportunistic, but had holes. And you're getting Edwards back. You've got Jalen Johnson with a couple more games underneath him where he made a bad read, I guess, when Bo Melton caught that pass over the top in game 1. So I really do think this is interesting, because the initial thought from Packer fans when Micah went down on Sunday was everything's over, it's doom and gloom.
100%.
But my thing is if Jeff Hafley, their defensive coordinator, is rumored to be the guy in New York and is the guy that is looking at all these jobs, well, he spent his entire offseason planning not to have Micah Parsons. So what can he do? I look at this as not I wouldn't say an advantage, but like from a game plan standpoint, it's almost like when you see a quarterback for the first time, you don't have film, so you don't know how you want to align the defense. From a defensive standpoint for the Packers versus the Bears, what's that first half going to look like? Are they going to bring pressure? Are they going to bring like Javon Bullard up from the safety to blitz off the edge like we saw last year? Edgerrin Cooper, who hasn't had that like huge year after being a 2-time NFC Defensive Player of the Week as a rookie, like do they unleash him more blitzing? So there's a lot of different things that Hafley can do this week, but ultimately it's how do you stop the run game? Swift's questionable, Monunga is a beast, but their offensive line is good and they can move guys, and that is a deficiency without Devontae Wyatt. Mike is not a run stopper, but he's not a liability on the run. You'd like to run at your best pass rushers, try and take them away as much as possible. So I really do think this game is even. I'm fascinated about Caleb. I really am. I'm fascinated about it. And I get it's his first year, because you can fit whatever narrative you want, right? You can say it's a second year, it's number 1 overall pick. Like he should be able to develop. Because for Love, it was, well, this isn't his first year. He's been in the league 4 years and he sat behind. And so you kind of can pick and choose what makes sense for however argument you want to make about each quarterback. But ultimately, if I'm the Packers and this is kind of a slight, I guess, against Caleb Williams at this point in his career. If I'm going to lose to the Bears, I'm going to lose because he's going to have to beat me, right? And can he? Yes, but we've seen the game flow from Carolina, even the New York Giants. If it's a one possession game, which is likely going to be tight, this will be tough for the Packers they can continue to run the ball, but if it gets to 2 scores and you're leaning on the passing game, that's where they can maybe throw some exotic blitzes and make that defense look a little bit like it did last year. So I really do think it's going to be a very even game. But ultimately, Jordan Love, what I do love about him is what was very frustrating watching his interceptions. I was out before part of that 3-6 in 2023. I was in Vegas. I know you guys did a Vegas trip with Chicago. I watched him throw 3 interceptions. They were dog water throws. Like 4 guys could have picked it off on his third one over the middle. I was like, yikes. And everyone was feeling that. So to go from that to where he is, where he throws an interception like he does over the middle, and it's like, how does he do that? He's got throwers amnesia. I was taught to have shooters amnesia. You miss one, move on to the next one. He does an unbelievable job, because in that game, as opportunistic as the Bears are from a turnover perspective, I was like, this, if it could have played out anything perfectly for the Bears in this game, he threw an early pick. Are they gonna turn to running the ball more and trying to make this a shorter possessions for them type game? But he ended up slinging it. And that's what he does really well. He moves on in a way that I've never really seen at, a quarterback position for someone who's not as elite as him. I'd say he's been elite in 2025. Tough when Zach Tom goes down and Christian Watson goes down, and you got the best defensive line heading at you and just every passing situation you have at the end of that game. So it's been fun because both fan bases are picking and choosing, like, well, we're using a lot of the Packers and Bears data, and now you're looking, well, look at Jordan Love. He sucked against the Broncos at the end. So I think it is bigger than everyone, and even myself. Of course, I'm taking what I saw more so from the Packers game to make my narrative and not look at it more holistically. But there's a reason why this is a pick'em, and I'd like to think that if Jordan Love is playing elite in 2025, this could be a moment for him and Matt LaFleur to be like, hey, we've won all these games. We lost our best player. They have a chance to show what their culture is like losing their best player and what kind of locker room they built going into Soldier Field, because this is for the division. And I'd actually say playing the Bears for the division after losing such an emotional piece probably is the best scenario, because you don't have time to feel sorry for yourself. I don't know what you think about that, Jason.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, Pat. I agree with what you said. I actually watched Jeff Hapley's his press conference, and the first thing everybody's asking about is Micah Parsons. And he gave Micah Parsons his flowers, but he wasn't going. He was saying, hey, we have a lot of talented guys in this locker room. You guys got to step up. And he's excited about the opportunity, like you said, Ben, having put together a scheme defensively, not knowing that Micah Parsons was going to be a part of that scheme. So that's definitely to the Packers' advantage, because you do have a scheme in place that you didn't know that was going to have Micah Parsons elevate that scheme, right? So, yeah, that's to their advantage. You have guys that are, going to get an opportunity. Like you talked about Devontae Wyatt out, talk about the run game, Rashawn Gary. When's the last time Rashawn Gary had a sack? You know what I mean? So there's a lot of
we're on an amber alert for Rashawn. Right
that's what I'm saying. So there's a lot of so it's a lot. I mean, just like the Bears, right? You've got, a lot of guys going to get an opportunity in this rivalry in the biggest game that these two teams have had in a long time, despite the one they played a couple weeks ago. Look at Rome out, Luther Burden out, right? So it's going to be guys that's going to have to step up and make plays in this rivalry, and that's what makes it so intriguing and so enticing, because of, it's Packers coming off a loss, right, against the Broncos, the Bears coming off a loss to the Packers, but we're coming off, you could say, not really a big win against the Browns, a win we should have had.
Dominant win over that defense.
But how do you, right? And this goes back
boosting win.
Confidence booster,
preseason game. I called it, Pat, a preseason game.
Preseason game.
It was a preseason game, man. So here's the thing, right? This is the biggest test, I think, for Ben Johnson, right? Because Ben Johnson talks about going 1-0 each and every week, right? Making sure that they're continuing to put into preparation, not reading their press clippings and things of that nature, not taking the credit, the attaboys, the pats on the back, and really focusing in on winning the game that you have to win. If you want to get to the playoff, you got to win this game, right? And this is a huge statement for the Bears, even though they have a lot of guys out in lineup. So there's no excuses for for the Bears in this situation, in my opinion.
Hey, speaking of press clippings, what the hell is Kevin Warren doing putting that out right now?
Oh my goodness. What do we do? Oh man.
We ain't got
man, I'm like, are we playing the Packers this week? Like, what are we doing? Do we not have the biggest game in a long time here in Chicago on Saturday night? I mean, in front of the national audience, and we talking about the stadium, and then I don't want to get into that. Never mind.
It feels like no matter the big game, Kevin Warren will find a way to throw himself into the conversation. It's like, I remember there was a day in training camp where it was probably Caleb's best day. I want to say it was the Miami practice or maybe the Bills, one of them. And I mean, the Bears, I think it was the Miami one, because the Bears, they kind of ran roughshod over them throughout the joint practice and stuff like that. And then we get this random, like, Kevin Warren's going to be speaking about the stadium in about 15 minutes. Come on down. We're like, oh, okay. Me and J-Mac are down there. And then he told us the exact same thing we already knew. Like, he was like, we're looking at Chicago, but we think Arlington's there, and we're going to keep our options open. And then he sent George McCaskey up to speak. And me and J-Mac were like, what just happened? Why are we down here right now? We could have recorded the podcast already. So I think that this is a common theme. And listen, as a Bears fan, a diehard who has been begging for a team that's this good, as long as you give me the team on the field, I will deal with the tone deafness of maybe some of the press releases. I can get over those, because I go into a game versus the Packers in December. Me and J-Mac have talked about this. We've been doing the post-game show for 4 years. This is the first time we talked about meaningful football. For the first time, Ben, I couldn't tell you who's in the draft that I want the Bears to go after, because I don't know where they're going to pick. They're going to be at the bottom here.
You're explaining all of the reasons why I disassociated myself with the franchise.
I think here's
gave him ammo, Pat. Don't give him the Pat. Don't give it to him. I'm not a Packer fan.
I don't know. That feels a little packy.
So now you're going to tell me who I am and what I feel.
Let me say this though. I do find it interesting, the amount of Packers fans who felt like this was the Super Bowl year when they acquired Micah Parsons and we're going to go all the way. And Micah Parsons goes down, and apparently none of that was because of the talent that Jordan Love has and what he's able to do. Because now it doesn't feel like you can win the Super Bowl. And I'm just confused in this world that Packers fans were in, because have we not seen Micah Parsons get figured out just about every single playoffs? Maybe he's a little bit better in Jeff Hafley's system, but he was in some pretty good defensive systems down in Dallas, and he doesn't make a ton of impact in playoff games. On top of that, is Jordan Love not Mr. Game-killing pick? Yes, he doesn't throw many of them. But how many of them can we say have been, all right, Jordan, we're putting the game on your shoulders. We need you to go out here and win the football game based on your arm talent. And he throws a pick versus Denver, throws a pick versus Philly, throws a pick versus the 49ers in the playoffs, versus the Vikings, versus the Panthers, versus the Browns. Like, I feel like, yes, he doesn't throw many picks, and you can give him that. Like, he's an efficient quarterback with the numbers at the end of the day. But we can't sit here and act like when Jordan Love is throwing these picks, they're not usually back-breaking picks in pivotal games, which as a Bears fan gives me all the confidence in the world coming into this game, because it's like, hey, Jordan, we need you to show up this week. Don't throw a game-changing interception.
I think it's hard to argue against that. Like, there's no doubt. When he throws interception, it's just like, huh?
Yeah.
Like, that was bad. Like, it was like,
all
that
I
was
think
really
every
bad.
time is just
the timing was bad.
Yeah. All I think every time is just, this
again,
isn't Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Yes. But I would say, I think it has been less this year than it has in the past. The Browns game stands out. Denver.
The Panthers?
I'm okay. again, he's not perfect by any means, but I will point specifically to Denver, in which the narrative around Matt LaFleur this season was he didn't go for the jugular. And so he was damned if he did, he was damned if he didn't. And I like that he was aggressive. Unfortunately, we were aggressive against PS2, the reigning defensive player of the year. Tough one. But you can't be the same person that complains that they don't go for the jugular, and then when they do go for the jugular, also complain. Maybe a little underthrown, great play by PS2, but ultimately throughout this year, there's been a lot more confidence of when you watch Jordan, you're not doing the type face when he throws. Like there's like, you don't have that anymore. Now, can they come back? I hope not, but I think throughout the season, other than Cleveland, Carolina, which I don't think was as bad, is
Carolina,
as the
you still had a chance to win at the end.
Correct. And even against Cleveland, which was not excusable, they did drive back and have a chance to win the game with their poor special teams getting a field goal blocked. So again, I'm with you, but I think if there was any time for Jordan Love, for somebody who was going into the Denver game in top 3 MVP odds without Micah, if you're able to have that 2023-esque type end of season, he can elevate himself and Matt LaFleur can elevate themselves. So this is huge opportunity from them. I just don't know what that locker room is like. I don't know emotionally. Like I said, I think it's a good thing that they're playing the Bears for the #1 spot in the NFC North, but we're going to find out the true character of that locker room and Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love, because despite everything we talked about Halfley and how he can change, how he's going to go up against this run offense and what they're going to do against Caleb, part of the thing is like, do you rush to contain, not rush to overextend? Like there's a lot of things there, but my overall point is like, you got to show what you got right now, because they have been a 7 seed with Jordan Love. Nice win against Dallas. He threw the pick against San Francisco, but sooner or later, what are you without the Hall of Fame quarterback Aaron Rodgers? And new president Ed Policy doesn't like lame duck coaches and GMs. I think if he wins this game, he can pretty much like guarantee himself his opportunity to continue coaching, because the odds of them winning the division with the Ravens and the Vikings is a little bit easier path than the Niners and the Lions. So this is huge, man. This is huge. This is fun as a non-Packer fan and a non-Bears fan. I'm just sitting back and relaxing, enjoying the show on Saturday night, and be listening to every post game imaginable. The post game with you guys, Green Bay game night here. I'll have it all on, taking in all the chaos.
Maybe I'm not buying that.
Maybe I lit a match and threw it in there, but now
I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that, Ben. I'm not buying that. Non-Packers, non-Bears. So you watching the game, a big play happens for the Bears, you ain't cheering. Big play happens for the Packers, you ain't cheering. I don't buy it, man. He's going to have a beer. He's going to have a brat in his hand. He's going to be cheering for Green Bay every time they make a play. Hopefully not a lot of them. They're going to make some because it's football, but that's what's going to happen, Ben. Don't sugarcoat it. Tell us the truth. See,
that's literally not the truth. Like I almost want to give you like a nanny cam to me watching the game.
you got to live stream it. You got to live stream it.
I'm a FaceTime Ben for the sideline. Like, don't do it.
Boring. You want Kyle Wallace, my co-host, who's like, yeah, that's my boy Jordan. Let's go. Like that's not me. Like if I went over to one of our great partners and placed a wager, that's emotion. Like that's how I got. Like I love sports now. When you
fan with your wallet.
By no means was I will lie to my child and say I was the last cut to make the roster for the Milwaukee Bucks. But I did summer league with Giannis and Jabari and all that. And like when you get close, and not that I was that close, you sort of like, you understand the business of it. I'm not doing I'm a journalist, I'm not a fan thing. It's just like, I just love sports. I take in anything. I love watching baseball. The rule changes have helped me enjoy that game more. 100%. Football is the NFL's king. Fantasy football. Betting, you got your daily fantasy. Like I love all of that. So I'm tracking all of that all the time. That like, that's what I love about what I get to do. And I get to talk to an audience that cares a lot about the Packers. And I've learned more about the Packers than I probably know about the Bears because I was locked in the gym trying to make sure that I was going to get a scholarship. And, and then it was fun to be like I'm a cute little Bears fan in Wisconsin. They're going to love as long as I'm making baskets, they're not going to get on me too hard, but if I suck, I was reading about the Bears, they'd be like, this guy stinks.
Yeah.
let me ask you this, because you brought something up here, and I think it has been an under talked about storyline around the NFL. And to me, I think it is one of the most massive storylines that truly could play out here. I've said, if the Bears find a way to beat LaFleur and keep them from being a top seed, winning the NFC North, whatever it is, that there's a real chance that the new president of the Packers could say, hey, the history says you're a great coach, but you don't get the job done. We're going to part ways, let you go your way, and we're going to find a new head coach to come in here. Is that a real possibility at the end of this season, that if the Packers are a first round exit, or they don't win the division, that Matt LaFleur is not the coach of the Packers moving forward?
It's a great question. The hard part is the last president, Mark Murphy, was like this big caricature, would make jokes, and he built up Titletown. Ed Policy, comes from the 49ers lineage, and, his dad, he seems very much more all business, and we haven't really been able to get a true read on him. He did say, this conversation, that he doesn't like having lame duck GMs and coaches heading into a year, where the worst possible scenario for Ed Policy would be that 3 years in a row under Matt LaFleur, losing in the wild card if they are, that 6-7 seed, wherever that's.
Oh, dang it.
I can't lose to that. Yeah, I hate it.
Courtney did it this week too. What's happening?
It's the dumbification of America. I'm telling you. But the worst scenario for Ed Policy is that he is that 6-7 seed and loses, because it's like, all right, do you guarantee you're going to get somebody better? You'd like to say you're Green Bay and you have a great opportunity, but do you want to move on from somebody that is going to get you there every year, and you keep getting cracks at it? It's turning into the Mark Jackson, Steve Kerr thing with Golden State. There's a lot of those stories of, the coach can get you to a certain point, but can they get you to where you want to be? So this will be fascinating to see how the rest of the season plays out. My bet would be that even if they lose in the wild card, that he is back, because I think based off how they were playing and having the second best Super Bowl odds heading into Denver with Micah and with all, they lost their all-pro. Everyone's got injuries, but they've been pretty decimated with an all-pro tight end, Tucker Kraft, going out. Zach Tom's been injured a lot. They paid him a lot of money at right tackle. I'd say he's probably built up enough equity that he could probably use. They can't collapse. If they collapse, you're giving yourself the writing on the wall. But, if they don't make the playoffs, then somehow lose to the Ravens and the Vikings, who have a little bit of resurgence with JJ McCarthy, which I still don't believe. That would have to be, I think, the only way it happens. I still think there's enough equity with what he did throughout this season to be back, and barring an absolute disaster.
Yeah, Ben, speaking of injuries, I know a big part of that Green Bay offense is Josh Jacobs. Had a heck of a game last week. He's been banged up. What you hearing about him? What do you think his status would be for this game?
He's crazy. He's going to play. His bone bruise is getting worse. It's getting more swollen, but he said he'd rather play hurt because it would hurt him more to watch the game, which you love.
Right.
You love from a competitive standpoint. And that third down run that he had when it looked like he had four guys around him and somehow broke that into the red zone, that was killer. I think Watson and Jacobs are both leaning to playing, which is good. Zach Tom, very questionable. Likely, I would say no. And then Evan Williams, a good up-and-coming safety, no. So I think the Jacobs effect is interesting because Matt LaFleur with Jacobs loves him. And we've had so much conversation about letting Jordan loose a little bit more. They've too much, utilizing the opportunity to take some shots, in the intermediate area on first and second down. So they've needled that a little bit, but in this type of physical football game in the division, you absolutely need Josh Jacobs. And that's, Emmanuel Wilson or Chris Brooks or whoever it is. It's no offense to them. They're not what Swift and Mordecai are able to do with as good of a run offensive scheme as you guys have, as Ben Johnson brought over those concepts. And I guess real quick, what I want to get back to on the Caleb thing is, and the Caleb Jordan is, don't you think from a Caleb, let's not even talk about stats. Let's talk about who he is right now as a quarterback.
Yeah.
He needs to develop the completion percentage consistency, because with their run game, if they had a Jordan Love who can make some of those throws in the pocket, they would be unbelievable. But because of the fact that, he had Goff in that system with Gibbs and Montgomery, and he's kind of remaking that for the Bears, Goff threw 75 to 80% completion percentage to some talented guys, which the Bears have talented offensive weapons. I know Rome's out, but DJ Moore is still very capable. I've been shocked to see his down of a year. He's had some good games, but not consistent. I still think he's got enough. I was shocked to see that Ben Johnson hasn't found a way to consistently make him involved in the offense. He's going to have to play a big part. So I guess my thing is that's my thing long-term with Caleb, is Ben Johnson's going to want somebody to be able to utilize what they're doing from a run perspective and not have him roll out as much as he did against the Packers. I know he doesn't do that every game. Part of that was because Micah was out there. You want to get him comfortable and not have him sitting there. So I don't know. I think that's my biggest thing with Caleb is until he becomes there's some times where he sits back and misses 3 feet wide on a check down. And those are the things where I get worried about. When he has those 34 yards in the first half against the Packers, again, Micah was there. We'll see what this defense looks like and how he plays this week. But he played pretty well against a solid defense in Cleveland. But this is a different game. You have two teams playing for the division. And despite Micah going down, the stakes are high. So that's the one thing that, again, I will continue to look at with Caleb is how he can develop how Ben Johnson wants to run an offense long-term. Is that fair?
It's very fair. And I think that having the opportunity to have, a head coach that understands, how to develop a quarterback, right? We have so many guys in this league. They're quarterback gurus. They're labeled guys. They're labeled guys that can develop certain positions. But when you look back at their track history, who have they developed? Well, you have a guy like you mentioned. He revitalized Goff's career. He's done this. And a lot of those things you're talking about, the misses we see from Caleb, and Ben has alluded to this throughout his press conferences. It's fundamentally he's not sound in terms of his footwork, having a good base, having a good stance arrow, and that's why he's missing wide or he's missing high on some of these receivers. I think a lot of that is coachable and correctable, right? But I think the one thing that I think Ben has done a good job of is not taking away the God-given talent that Caleb has, right? Talking about being able to make all kind of throws off platform, outside of the pocket, being able to create. And the one thing that Caleb has and that we've seen throughout his entire season with all the close games that the Bears have had is he has the ability, right, when the pressure's big, to come through and make a big play, right? We saw it against the Packers, right? Yes, he threw that interception the last play of the game, but he put his team in that position after having a first half in which we didn't even show up, came back the second half and still gave his team an opportunity to win. So I think those things that we see in terms of completion percentage will get better over time, right? Having more time on task with a coach who's had a good track record of developing a quarterback.
And to speak to that, I mean, like the throwaways, Caleb Williams right now is second in the NFL in throwaways. Basically just saying, I'm not going to take a bad play here. He's 10th in the NFL and drop the Bears as a whole are 10th in the NFL and drop passes. Y'all know a thing or two about that up in Green Bay. So
led the league in
I'm not going to beat my chest on the drop passes there. I'm not going to lie. Listen, I'm not going to lie. There are those moments where I look and I be like, not that I feel bad for Jordan, but come on, bro. Like it only hits you in both hands and the chest. How did you not catch that? But I think that, when you look at the
partially
completion,
their fault with the strategy of how they've gone about. Like they could have had Devontae at the same price as the Rams, and they just weren't interested because they're building at such a youth level. So you're going to get those mistakes in how you build your team. Yeah. So it is like a double-edged sword. You're happy about the talent, but not the consistency. That's what you're going to get when you have young guys.
100%. But I think that there's a lot of those things. And it goes back to what J-Mac said, right? Like, it's just time on task. You know this being a high level athlete, right? Like you know every shot that you were comfortable with because you had taken it so many times. You knew every shot that you were going to be able to knock down with pressure in you, with hands in your face, with people closing out on you because you had knocked down that shot so many times. Like, I think that's what it is with this team. And I know it's year one, and we say, well, they should have it by week 14. Like, how do you not have it? Sometimes it does take, and I think we saw this in Detroit. It took until the end of that first season with Ben Johnson before Detroit was like, oh, you mean that's how I'm supposed to run this route the entire time? You mean this is where I was supposed to stop? Okay, now I got it. And you started, I think you saw it in the Packer game, really more in the second half than anything. You saw it in the Browns game versus one of the best pass defenses in football. And I think that you'll continue to see it the rest of the season where it's almost like it is clicked with some of these receivers between him and the relationship they have with Caleb Williams that, okay, this is how we do this perfectly. And if we do this every time, we're going to be able to continue to have success. That's going to help the completion percentage more than anything.
And I want to go back to that second half because this was where we had a lot of debate because on our Green Bay game night post-game show, Homer called the defense embarrassing and pathetic.
I saw that
on our station. So I had a problem with that because the Bears aren't like, they're not like horrible. Like obviously they have a good coach who can scheme and knows what their strengths are. And they came out and had a 3-and-out after throwing that long touchdown. If they put up points, that second half goes completely different in my opinion. But then when you let the Bears roll down the field, they gained that confidence. And then the Packers scored within 2 minutes, I think. Quick 2-minute Christian Watson. Then they had another 3-and-out after the field goal. And then they had the another 4-minute touchdown drive. So that defense was exhausted, partially due to the 2 3-and-outs and how quickly they scored. Now, scoring quick isn't a bad thing. You want touchdowns. But if that game flow plays out the same way, I don't know if that is good for the Green Bay Packers again. And it wasn't good in the second half. So it'll be interesting to try and thread that needle of sustained drives, but being efficient in the red zone because they can't leave that defense out there with how banged up they are, especially on the road. So I'm just intrigued to how the game flow goes because I thought that second half, obviously credit to the Bears, but also it wasn't a good setup when you're going 3-and-out, scoring fast, and then 3-and-out and scoring fast, and your defense is like, dude, they're bringing it every play. And none guys cracking helmets, and we're like, we're dead.
And I think after that game too, the reason why I love this coaching staff, right? These coaches, right? They're able to sit up there at the podium and take the criticism, but put the blame on themselves and they make a mistake, right? We've seen Ben Johnson talk about he called some bad plays, but after this game. Going to the Bears defense, Ben, Dennis Allen talked about putting his defense in bad situations. So you talk about the Christian Watson touchdown, right? I think it was a 23-yard touchdown pass. The Bears are in man coverage. You got C.J. Garner-Johnson on Christian Watson in the slot, which is a complete mismatch, especially when C.J. doesn't even get man coverage. He doesn't even get hands on Christian Watson at the line, so he doesn't stand a chance. It's like situations like that. Also at the end of the half, the first half, giving up the big play, the big touchdown. Like those are things that you can't have, and those are the things that it's intriguing for me to see. How is Dennis Allen going to play the Packers in terms of coverage? Because you've seen against man coverage. Like even last week, watching the game, watching Jordan Love go against the Broncos, when Jordan Love finds those matchups. And he puts that ball out there to give his receivers a chance to come down with it, right? We even saw Josh Jacobs in man coverage against a linebacker catch a touchdown pass in the red zone, which was a hell of a catch. Like that was, man, I was like, wow. But understanding, right? Like when you have a veteran quarterback like Jordan Love, right? You may be able to confuse him a little bit, but you're not going to really. You can't do much to confuse him. He's seen a lot of different things, and he understands where to go with the football in terms of his favorable matchup. So I'm interested to see what Dennis Allen is going to take away from that game and how is he going to play, this Packers offense, despite some of the, absences that they have. But how are you going to play in coverage? And is that rush going to match the coverage, Pat? Because we've seen we can't get pressure consistently with our front four. No. And if you start bringing second-level pressure, you start bringing a linebacker, third-level pressure, you know what's going to happen? Jordan Love's going to find that void, right, that's left by that blitzing linebacker, that blitzing safety, he's going to make you pay for it. So I think it's a huge, it's going to be really interesting to see how Dennis Allen is going to come out and really attack this Packers offense.
Did we lose Ben? You got us back, Ben?
I'm back. I'm back.
Cool.
Okay, good.
But I mean, look, it's funny because every conversation we've had right now is about like, this is fun because I can do this for 2 more hours because it's
finally mano a mano.
It's a chess match. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
It is how is Matt LaFleur, the offensive mind with Jordan Love, who's been playing at a higher level than he has in his career throughout this entire season. He's had his moments, but every quarterback does, versus a defense that gives up a lot of yards, is opportunistic. A very average pass rush. We saw what Jordan was able to do against the blitz last time they played versus Jeff Hafley's defense without Micah, knowing that they're going to try and run and dominate the line of scrimmage, losing Devontae Wyatt, no Micah Parsons, versus Caleb Williams' efficiency and how they're going to attack him and try and contain him and not let him get out to spots where he's comfortable. We could go all day. Both have injuries. No Burden, no Rome. No Zach. Is Zach Tom going to play? Evan Williams out. There's so obviously Micah.
No Micah.
And the reason why we can say is because it happened since 2 weeks ago when they did play.
Yes.
So there's so many things that I think for both teams, this game will show the trajectory of where both are going from a culture. Like, do the Packers step up and go on the road with the emotional loss of Micah, with Jeff Hafley, the defensive coordinator, who's getting looked at for head coaching jobs? Is he able to show his worth and what he was working on pre-Micah? Can they install that right away and get Caleb Williams disrupted? From Ben Johnson's standpoint, what did he see from that defense and how can he be prepared with the unknowns of what the defense will look like without Micah? Like it's everywhere right now. And I think we're going to learn a lot about both teams. Will it look like Seattle and the Rams on Thursday night where it comes down to 2-point conversion, which it almost did in game 1? I don't know. Will the Bears and somehow find a way to lose this by 14? Everyone's doing the shouldn't have got my hopes up. Or will they actually, with the opportunity, take advantage of the timing of how everything's going for them and where the Packers are at? There's so many things here, and that's why I love what we do.
This is a great week to have it. I mean, it's fun when both teams can come competitively. And I'll be honest with you, like, if at any point in this game there's a called back 2-point conversion that gets recovered in the end zone and it goes in the Bears' favor, it will be the only time in my life that I have actually felt bad for the Packers, because what the heck? That was
you'd be like,
I'll take it. Listen, last night that was a backwards pass. It was a backwards pass.
That was crazy.
Now, if it was the first time it ever happened, sure. But if it happens as a second time, you're like, oh, there's precedent.
There's precedent. Yeah, that's precedent. We got it. Ben, we appreciate you coming on the show, man. Before we let you go, what is your prediction for this game? Is this more Packers winning as usual, or does little brother come to fight and show that he's grown up a lot more than big brother thought?
23-23 tie. I'm just like, I would never do that.
Although you have done that this year.
Yeah, well, that was on Matt LaFleur being soft. They scored 3 straight times against the Cowboys in the red zone and time management, and don't want to get into that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 24-20 Packers.
24-20 Packers win. Or Ben, let's hope that he's wrong and there's another 2
please no.
to win this game.
and I think it comes from a place of, until I see it happen from a Bears standpoint, LaFleur is 12-1. Malik Willis.
We're not quoting no one. We're not air quoting no one.
He got Malik Willis on us too, though. Damn.
I've been saying Jordan Love is 4-0 against the Bears all week, just so you know. He's 4-0. I don't know what you're talking about, this whole one thing. Like,
that O gotta go. That O gotta go. That O gotta go, baby.
Ben, we appreciate you taking the time out, man. We appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you for giving us this back and forth and clearing some things up, I guess, if we want to say that. They're never going to let you live down that you were once a Bears fan.
Even after this, it's still The Ben the Fraud was on with Pat the Designer and J-Mac. Listen in.
Now we appreciate you, Ben. You're the man. Thank you very much, bro.
Thank you so much.
Well,
Ben.
like I said, there's a 50% chance they're seeing each other in the playoffs anyway, so we might talk.
100%. Yeah, man.
So
awesome. we may be doing this once again.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ben Brust.
Catch you later, guys.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Ben.
Your roof's got more layers than the Conspiracy Podcast.
Is that a sandwich wrapper?
Ah, yes. Vintage 1988. It really builds character.
Avondale Roofing. Inspect smarter, dig deeper, and get to the core of your roof's health.
Great to have Ben on the podcast, man. I mean, listen, it's I don't know if I buy it. I'm not a Packer fan. Like, I'm gonna have to see something play out with that. I feel like that left the door open. You know what I mean? But listen, I give him credit. He came in, he stood the Lions den, and he stood on business. Kind of. But we got to get to our underdog play of the week. J-Mac, as always, today's episode is brought to you by Underdog. Make picks, win money. J-Mac, what do you like this week? We've already got a DJ Moore anytime touchdown. We got Caleb Williams, higher pass yards. We got a DeAndre Swift anytime touchdown. Seems like there's going to be a lot of offense for the Bears in our minds here. What do you have for this? Unfortunately, you have to pick a Packer.
Yeah, and I was going to say, before I do this, Bears fans, don't crucify me in the chat.
It's how the app works.
My colleagues left me with the trash juice, so I got to pick a Packers player, the trash juice.
I should have told you to pick an NBA player.
No, don't crucify me. This is not what I want to do. My colleagues, you see, they don't understand. I'm gonna get them all the DVD set called Band of Brothers for Christmas, because this is how they do your boy on Friday, since I get the last day. You know what I mean? They don't understand what teamwork is. They don't understand what it means to be in the huddle, right? To have camaraderie and chemistry, but they leave me with the trash juice.
You know what it is?
Pick a Packers player.
You know what it is too? Normally, Yurko picks the player from the other team. He went Swift this week, and that threw everything off.
The good kid, right? That's his nickname, the good kid.
That's the good kid, man. The former Packer.
Good and terrible. So here we go. So I got to pick a Packers player, and I don't want this to happen, but I just think that with the way this individual is playing, he had a big game last week against the Broncos. He had a 41-yard touchdown run. He also had a hell of a touchdown catch in the red zone. Was a great play. He's a great player. We actually have the same agent, so I pull for him to do good when he's not playing the Bears, but I'm forced to make this pick. So I'm going to go with Josh Jacobs in this game, higher than 63.5 rushing yards. I think that's
not a bad number.
Jordan Love is Jordan Love. And he threw 2 picks last week against the Broncos. That's not going to stop, this Packers offense from letting him put the ball in there. But I think with the way that Jordan Love, his game is predicated off a good run game, just like a lot of quarterbacks in this league. And I think Josh Jacobs, when you have a back like Josh Jacobs, you're going to give him every opportunity to put a dent in the defense. So I think he's going to get that number higher than 63.5 rushing yards from Josh Jacobs in the Green Bay Packers. I'm sorry.
We did this experiment on the Breeze. You can replace the first letter of Packers with any other letter, and it almost works to basically call them garbage. So it's pretty nice.
The Green Bay trash juice. Packers. I'm sorry.
Green Bay whackers. You know what I mean? Hey, man, make sure that you guys stay tapped in with us over on Underdog, man. We appreciate y'all. Download the app today. Sign up with promo code CBP to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5 bet. That's promo code CBP. Underdog, make picks, win money. EOQ, the disclaimer. Must be 18 years or older, 19 or older in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 or older in Colorado for some games, 21 or over in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Welcome back in, man. We're going to finish this thing out with the ever important, most important part, I should say, of a Friday episode. But we do got to let you guys know today's episode also brought to you by the Hard Rock Casino in Northern Indiana. Las Vegas style gaming, just 30 minutes from Soldier Field, exit 6 right off I-80-94. And the Advantage Dealer Group. Find your next Chevy, Toyota, or Acura and drive off in under 60 minutes, or they'll make your first car payment. Now, it is the most important of every single Friday episode, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for the McKeys to the game. J-Mac, what are our McKeys to a Chicago Bears victory over the Green
Yes, sir.
Bay?
That's a defensive cue right there. That's what I want them guys coming off the sideline with. Beep, 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 beep. Here we go. Yeah, that's what we need. That's what we need. That type of pass rush. That's what we need. That type of pass rush. So we start with the defense, right? Can you get home with 4? You got to get home with 4. You got to get home with 4. And you see, when you have an adequate pass rush, and I'm not comparing us to the Denver Broncos, but hey, I have to because they had 24 quarterback pressures last week on Jordan Love. And what did that lead to? It led to a win, obviously, but it also led to 2 interceptions, baby. Can we get home with 4? And if you get home with 4, there's a lot of things that Dennis Allen can do on the back end, right? Rush and cover, it's got to match, right? Rush and cover, it has to match. So get on with 4, and you give yourself a chance to disrupt the timing of this Packers passing game, but also get Jordan Love off his comfort zone, right? No love for Jordan Love. Get home with 4. Now, the next thing, I got to talk to Coach Harris like I do every single game, right, before the game, right? The takeaway meter, I think it's got to be a 3. I think if you get 3 takeaways this game, it's definitely a Bears win. We're going to be celebrating in Chicago on Saturday night. By the time the game's over, it'll be Saturday morning. But if we get 3 takeaways, I got to talk to Coach Harris and see if that's the number. But if we get to that number, we give ourselves a good chance. And we have the ability to do it, okay? Now let's go to the offensive side of the ball. Pat, the designer. Who's stepping up in the passing game? Rome's out. Luther Burden's out, right? Who's up next? Zacchaeus. DJ Moore. We saw. Who'd you say?
I said Mr. Moore. You went OZ.
DJ Moore had a big week last week. I'd love for him to replicate that, but I want to see, hey, can you come to life again, baby? Cole Kmet, where you at, baby? Olamide Zacchaeus, where you at, baby? All day Jade, is he in the lineup? I want to see the dance, Pat. I want to see the dance on the sideline. Who's stepping up in the passing game? Somebody's got to step up. It's going to be awesome. And now, last but not least, take care of the football.
Yeah.
No self-inflicted mistakes, right? You're going to have certain things. There's going to be a false start here or there, right? That's the cost of playing the game, right? That's the cost of playing the game. Those things are going to happen, but we cannot turn the ball over. Limit the interceptions. No interceptions, Caleb. That'd be awesome. Don't fumble the ball. Don't have any self-inflicted mistakes and start fast on offense, just like we did against the Cleveland Browns. And I know the Packers ain't the Browns, but if we can start fast, we give ourselves an opportunity to win this game. Game 1, we didn't show up to the second half offensively, right? We need 4 quarters of good, consistent Bears football. Excited to see it happen. Those are your McKeys to the game.
Hey, man, let's hope that those McKeys play out. You've actually been – it is hilarious.
Been good, right?
I don't know if y'all ever, listen to the McKeys to the game and then, listen to anything Declan Doyle says right after. Why is J-Mac here? I'm just like, you should be an OC on somebody's team.
You hear what they said about football the other day when I told you, what's football, Pat? Blocking, catching, and tackling. What did Declan say? Right. Blocking, catching, and tackling. I'm just trying to give you guys the blueprint and give you knowledge about the game on this podcast.
Hey, bro, I asked Ben Johnson, what's the tipping point when you play a divisional opponent? That's exactly what he said. He said, listen, it comes down to blocking, catching, and tackling. I was like, all right. Let me just stop. I'm going to just go ask J-Mac all the questions. Don't worry about it. I do that anyway. I call him in the middle of the week. What you seeing on this, J-Mac?
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm looking at here. One thing I will say that the Bears are going to have to figure out, I think this is going to be the biggest thing for Dennis Allen, got to figure out how to stop that 3-by-1. And your personnel has not changed. In fact, in some ways, the hope is that it just got healthier in some senses, although now no Kyler Gordon. Kyler Gordon he was in that game, right? He played.
No, remember Kyler Gordon got hurt in warm-ups.
Got hurt in warm-ups of that game.
Got hurt in. And know what they did?
Maybe being a little more prepared because you don't have a Kyler Gordon will be an advantage for them.
Here's one thing that nobody will know, right? That I hope we do here in Chicago. So on the way to Lambeau from Appleton, where we stay at the team hotel.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about you.
The team bus, we're on the team bus. It took us an hour and a half to get to Green Bay from Appleton, Wisconsin. So I know Chicago fans, some people probably have never been to Appleton. Trust them, I was only there because I have to be there. But it took us, it's like 20 miles, I think.
Yeah.
And it took us an hour and a half to go 20 miles, and we had a police escort. You know what they did to us, Bears fans? They took us through every single country road, farm, and every back road, every stop sign. I seen a cheese curd making factory. I mean, it was all kinds of stuff. It took us that long. The first team buses, it was terrible. So when the Packers come into Chicago, right, let's take them on the tour of Chicago before we get them to Soldier Field. Let's take them down. Let's go way down around the south side. Let's go through the west side. Pat, let's go back up to the north side.
So you think this was on purpose? You think that the Packers did this long-winded escort just to say, hey, you going to live in this loss a little longer?
You know what happened? What made it even worse, we had a police escort, but guess they didn't turn the sirens off until we were right down the street from the stadium.
Turn them on?
Turn them on. Yeah, I'm sorry. Turn them on until we're right down the street from the stadium. Like I mean, it was bad. Like we're sitting on the bus. I'm looking at Grady Jarrett. He's in his seat like this. I had just woke up. Like it was a road trip. It was terrible.
So wait, this was on the way to the game?
This is on the way to the game. The first set of team buses on the way to the game. It took us an hour and a half to get there. And I know Coach Johnson, he was on team bus 1. I was on team bus 4. So when he got off and we go through the security checks to get into the stadium, I was trying to see him to see his reaction, but I know he was hotter than fish grease because it messes up your whole routine.
Yeah.
It pushes up, it pushes everything up an hour and a
half. See, when you were telling this story, I thought this was after the loss. On the way to the game, this is diabolical.
On the way.
So you messed up the warm-up, you mess up, you throw off the norm of the Bears preparation for the game, and the first half of the game don't go the way that we thought it was.
See what I'm saying? That we got off that bus. We got off that bus hotter than fish grease. So I'm saying our police escort, this is a public service announcement to our police escort that's going to be escorting the Packers bus to Soldier Field. Like,
take a pass that you see.
Yeah, I don't care what hotel they're staying at. I know it's not going to be longer than 10 miles, but let's take them on a 40-mile-an-hour tour of Chicago. Take them down, take them everywhere around Chicago. Show them around. Show them around. Show them around.
Down State Street.
Yeah, stop at the Wiener Circle. Go. Make sure you make some stops on the way before you get to Soldier Field. But at least you owe them an hour and a half, guys.
Bro, that's crazy. I didn't peep when you first told me that was on the way to the game. That's diabolical action.
Yeah.
Hey, get them back. Show them what it really is this week, Bears.
That should be a part of my McKeys to the game. That should have been, make sure you take them on a 2-hour tour to Chicago.
That should have been the first one.
Bro.
Hey, man, J-Mac, at least you'll be a little bit warmer on the sidelines this coming Saturday. Although it will be nighttime, but you'll be a little bit warmer on the sidelines.
Still gonna be cold.
Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love as always. This has been a jam-packed show, man. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bed down, one love. You gotta get payback for J-Mac and the bus. Come on.
Yeah, bear down.